Hello friends, this is Jennifer Terri and welcome to my channel. So the information that we'll be sharing for today is based from the IATF Resolution number 95, Big Change on Testing and Quarantine Rules. So the mandatory quarantine that we know that the 14 days quarantine for those coming from the banned countries will be replaced. Big change. So passengers now that are coming from or transiting through any of the 35 banned countries shall be tested upon arrival and shall be quarantined until the result of the subsequent test administered on the 5th day of their quarantine. Meaning, in simple terms, there will be now 2 COVID tests for passengers coming from any of the 35 banned countries. Okay, there will be now 2 tests only, only for those coming from the 35 banned countries. So the first test is upon arrival in the Philippines. This is at the airport. And the second test will be on your 5th day of your quarantine. So this test will be in your hotel, in your quarantine facility. Okay, now if the second test yields a negative result, then you can go home. You'll be sent home. You don't have to finish the 14 days in the hotel. Okay? So if the second test result or the second COVID test result yields a negative result, then you will be sent home and you can finish your 14 days quarantine in your final destination. So it can be either in a home quarantine or in a facility quarantine. So that depends on the rules of your local government, because in the Philippines, different places, different rules. In some areas, you only have to do 7 days. In some areas, you have to do 14 days in a facility. So it's best that you contact your local government unit because they're the only ones who can tell you what the protocol is when you arrive there. But the big change, I just want to say it again that when you arrive in Manila or in Cebu or in Clark, if you're coming from any of the banned countries, any of the 35 banned countries, you'll be tested upon arrival, and then on your 5th day on your quarantine, you will be tested again. And hopefully, if the test result on your hopefully your second COVID test result comes out early, let's say the next day after, and it yields a negative result, then you can go home and finish your 14 days quarantine in your final destination. Again, either home or facility, depends on the rules of your local government unit. And the local government units were strictly monitor the remainder of your 14 days quarantine through their respective barangay health emergency response team. So they will watch that you finish your 14 days quarantine. And for those who will get a positive result on their second COVID test, it's not clear how long you will quarantine, but surely you will be sent in a hospital, especially if you are with symptoms. So the question now is that, how about those who are not coming from any of the banned countries? Let's say you're coming from New Zealand. I keep mentioning New Zealand. So let's say you are not coming from a country that is under the travel ban. There's no COVID new variant in your country and you're going home to the Philippines. Then the same rules. Same rules apply to you. Test upon arrival and then 1 to 2 days hotel quarantine, and when the negative result comes out, go home and finish your the quarantine in your final destination. So this change on the quarantine rules is good because then, non OFWs, you don't have to stay, you don't have to shoulder the 14 days quarantine hotel, which is really expensive. At least with these new rules, your quarantine in the hotel, if you don't have COVID, could only be at least 5 days or 6 days. Now with the second COVID result, we don't know yet. It wasn't mentioned on the resolution whether the second COVID test will be shouldered by the non OFW or will it be a different payment? So if we get any news about that, we'll make a video. So anyway, you guys might be thinking, why the sudden change? Why did it change the quarantine and testing rules? I kind of was surprised about this. I didn't see this coming. It's been known for a long time now that the incubation period of the COVID-19 is 5 to 14 days. So this means that coronavirus symptoms could appear within 5 to 2 weeks after a person has been exposed to the virus. So this is not a new information. Did the Philippine government wake up and said, oh, incubation period, we should have 2 tests? I don't think so. This change was in accordance with new variant. So do you remember that the guy who had a COVID variant who came from UAE? So apparently, the contacts of the 29-year-old Filipino who tested positive for the COVID-19 variant initially tested negative for the viral illness, but later on yielded positive test results after re-swapping. So that's the weak spot of this COVID test, you know. It cannot detect early infections like same day or 2 days infections. So I think that this new rule of the Philippines is good. If if they want to lessen the COVID cases in the Philippines, this is good, but I hope that they will be able to manage this change though. However, for those travelers not coming from a banned country, watch out though, because the Department of Health is recommending for inbound passengers, regardless of country of origin, to undergo the same rules, 2 COVID tests. But however, that is only a recommendation for now. It's not implemented yet. It's only the IATF who can make these decisions. DOH or the Department of Health can only recommend. So for now, that is not implemented yet. This new testing and quarantine rules only applies for travelers coming from or transiting through any of the 35 banned countries. So that is the big news for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll put the link of the sources of our information in the description box. And I will see you again with another update. Don't forget to like. Bye.